the Broncos want to trade up for possibly Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels. I don't know if you saw the news. This came out last night. They were possibly talking about Caleb, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels possibilities. Where are you at with this one? How do you like this one? And does that mean that Russell's done?
Chicago backhand.
Look, man, what are they going to trade up with? Who's going to just take Russ and this contract? Yeah, man, everybody wants to trade up and get one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft. What the fuck? Of course they do. If I think the Broncos need a ton of help, I'd be trading back and accumulating picks and trying to find a diamond at the end of the first round, or at the beginning of the second. I think you can find some really good players, and there's some really good quarterbacks in this draft. I don't know if putting all of your eggs in the top 3 players at the position basket is smart this year, because I do think there's a lot of depth. That's perceived, of course, but in my opinion and perception, I think that there's depth at the quarterback position in this year's draft. I would be trading back from 12 and accumulating more picks and trying to get as many good football players in this draft as possible to fortify, because they're in cap hell and Russ put them there. And, if you want to trade Russ to the Raiders and they want to take him, then do it. What the fuck? It's what it is. So they can deal with that super fake positive, prima donna, and it'll be great. So, it's if they were to go get one of the 3, I guess I definitely don't want Caleb Williams, because he's good and shit, but I just hate his face. And I really don't want him to be the Broncos signal caller. He's just such a softie to me. I can't get with it. I think Drake May's a good player. We'll see what he does at the combine and shit. He was a hell of a talent. Kind of got buried in the media at UNC because you don't really see him that much. I don't know. He could be a fingernail painting weirdo too. We just don't know yet. Or he could just be a big normal quarterback. No one knows. And Jaden Daniels is a stud. But I also think that Penix is a really good player, and I like Bo Nix, and I think that Hartman is a good looking pro. And I think that there's a lot of players in this draft that have a lot of potential. I damn sure wouldn't be moving up to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks. Okay. We're moving up to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks, which is essentially saying that we've got a team that can go on a run, and we just need to sprinkle in a young, quarterback that can go in and do the job, and it's not going to kill us in the cap. That's what Denver's saying. And I think that they're further away from that than they think they are. So I could be wrong. I don't know what they're going to trade.
It's similar to Chicago, right? Like, what you're saying is what Jared Payton, Walter's son, came on and said, basically, I would stay with Justin and just go get dudes. You got this great picks. This is where franchises change overnight. Look at the Jets. The Jets, my kid yesterday got put into the Pro Bowl, Jermaine Johnson. So you have Jermaine, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett, the receiver, all from the same draft. That's a hell of a fucking draft. And and now Chicago has that possibility. Like you're saying, Denver may have to trade back or just go with what they have. The Chargers have a great pick. Do they take a tight end with Harbaugh coming into that program right away? Do they take Bowers at 5 or whatever it is?
I'm trying to do it. My palms are just itchy.
There's a lot going on, man. A lot going on.
I think that this draft is. Every draft is entertaining and shit. There's always a lot of hype at the top of it. This is one of the deep quarterback drafts where you could be getting starters in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, bro. There's good fucking football players at the quarterback position in this draft. And I really think that some of the lesser known talents, especially the kid from Notre Dame, the bone wearing, beard fucking sporting 6'5" dude with a cannon, I think he's a very, very underrated prospect. Yes.
I don't think JB during college football. I think at the time you said you thought Hartman would be more like NFL ready than like a lot of the other quarterbacks. It was early in the season though. But if I'm not mistaken, as the season went on and you watched him play, I feel like you kind of hopped off that bandwagon. Is that correct?
I said I think he's still going to be a pretty decent NFL player. Only I said that I look at that Notre Dame team and as they matriculated through the season, and I'm like, holy shit, they don't really have anything that resembles even a semblance of an NFL wideout or an NFL scheme or anything they look. And I'm like, I got to see him now get into the NFL as they lost late at Notre Dame. Now I got to change my projection and look at it differently. That's because we're always so high on projecting shit when they're winning. Everyone thinks that, when Caleb won the Heisman, guess what? Remember, he was the highest fucking thing you go. Now people are second guessing. Should we take him one? Should we take him two? So I think Hartman did that as well. I still think he'll have a decent NFL career, but I don't know if he might be a second day, third day guy, Matt. Hartman's falling probably far off because they take the sex appeal now. They want the painted nails and shit.
Well, look, I also think that one day, and I don't know when this is going to happen, but one fucking day, the NFL, and I understand it's a business, the draft is a massive just moneymaker for them. But one day people need to understand the NFL draft is as irrelevant as the Major League Baseball's draft. Like, there's so many great players that are undrafted fucking priority free agents that just come out of nowhere and play their balls off for 10, 12-year careers and fucking end up starting the whole season at places. And, the fact that like so much onus is put into the first round, I understand it because you're trying to sell fucking ratings on a TV show. That's what the NFL draft is. But to think like the NFL draft is just, oh my God, it's so scientific and we've got to hit on all these picks. Man, if you have 10 picks in the draft and then you have another 15 priority free agents, and out of that 25 kids, you have 7 or 8 of them that make the roster and are consistent and aren't on IR. And then out of those 7 or 8, you have 5 or 6 that are fucking starters. And out of that 5 or 6, you have 2 or 3 that are Pro Bowlers. That is fucking incredibly excellent. A point in case what Coach was just talking about with the Jets, that one draft class, they've got 3 fucking guys in that class that are like all pro and Pro Bowlers. You got to fucking bank on that now. That's how you whatever you did to identify those guys and say these are Jets. That's how you take it into the next round. And I as an undrafted free agent, the guy who had to change positions in the NFL, I don't know how many times I watched them overdraft a guy and he would walk in and we'd be like, I can't fucking believe they drafted this cat where they did. He is fucking terrible. He's terrible. Terrible. And like he gets to walk around with the I'm a first round draft pick mantra for the rest of his life. Like I guess my question is, and I can ask this to myself too, I guess. But would you rather be a first round draft pick and be a bust, or like just be undrafted and like get your pension and be a guy who had to earn it? Because I take a lot of pride in the fact that I was undrafted and like I got my pension paperwork sitting right here and I got to fill out my what is this? My beneficiary designation form. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my 401k savings plan is right
Pick
here.
me, Matt.
Get fucked. I look at like that is I take a lot of pride in that as an undrafted guy. But
you should.
If I would have been drafted and had my career, I would have been a bust because I was hurt and sucked and like on teams. So like Jamarcus Russell is the first pick in the draft and he's famous because of it. But again, it's like the Albert Haynesworth thing. No one respects Albert Haynesworth when his bitch ass walks into a building. Everyone's like, oh, that's Albert Haynesworth. He may have $300 million in the bank, but he also is Albert Haynesworth. Like, I don't need to really elaborate on that. It's almost an adjective. Like, you don't want to be like Haynesworth, do you? Like, right. it's that thing. Like, Jadeveon Clowney was kind of that guy, and he's resurrected himself. Like, he went from a first pick turd
Chase Young.
Good player. Like there's Chase Young is the
Chase
second.
Young, they're talking about sitting him in the game because his effort was horrific
He was walking on the field, dog. And he played with Bosa at Ohio State. I don't know how Bosa can't slap him on his fucking bitch ass chin. He's like, hey, motherfucker, that's not the way we do shit here. Get moving. So I think that I don't know where I sit on that. Like, you get all this money and all this like fame and flexibility as a first rounder, but if you bust the world's a fucking ruthless place, dog. Like, I don't know. I don't know where. How do you guys feel about what I just said? How do you feel about that?
Nah, that's a hell of a point. I mean, like, obviously, like, I don't want to bust. So, like, pause. So if I'm gonna be a first rounder, and you say I'm a bust, then that means I failed. That means I bust. Not in this situation. Not in this situation. But like, no, I'd much rather be the guy that grinded and actually had a career. And like, basically, what you're saying is it's an overachiever and an underachiever. That's basically what we're saying. The standard and the bar was set differently for both. For a first rounder, the bar is set extremely high. And for an undrafted person, your bar is set pretty damn low. So one could argue from the outside looking in that they might think that it's easier to hop that lower bar, but that's not necessarily true, because also, I know this just from talking to guys, talking to guys who's in the league. When you're undrafted or even a super late round drafted guy, you don't get a lot of opportunities either. Like when it comes to camp and shit like that, like you got to maximize every fucking rep or you're cut. Like every rep has to be great.
You might get 3 fucking reps in practice, and if you fuck them up, you're gone. Whereas the starter gets 30 and he could fuck up 10 of them, and they're like, oh, well, we got to develop him.
Right.
So, like, it's one of the reasons I love the equal opportunity coaches so much. You know, it's like some of the coaches I played for, like Mangini was, if he drafted you, you're playing. But Herm, when I was a rookie, was like, I don't give a shit where you were drafted. I want the best guy on the field.
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into this, man. And it's a very contentious subject because people put a lot into the draft picks, but I don't think they realize how much the entire, from the last priority free agent to the first pick you had in the draft, that entire class and group, there's so many great players that come out of the late round draft picks and undrafted free agents that just come out of nowhere. Like, for example, I'm working with Mustafa Johnson at 9 a.m. Okay. Mustafa played 3 technique at CU back in the day, was all Pac-12 twice. COVID hit. He came out, went to the NFL. Something didn't work, came back, had to sit because of the NCAA, like all these, I don't fucking know what happened, but, and like missed his window kind of, and went to Canada, just won a Grey Cup up in Canada. Well, we're talking about like he worked out for the Broncos, and they're like, oh, you're too small, yada, yada. And the grind continues, right, Smitty? It's what it is. Yep. But like I'm talking to him about it, and I'm like, yo, Cameron Wake. I'm like, go home and Google Cameron Wake. Go home and Google Alex Singleton. Like Cameron Wake played 9 years in fucking Canada or some shit before he got his opportunity in the league. And then went and played like another 10 in the league for the Dolphins and shit and balled the fuck out. Number 91, big old fucking, monster coming off the edge. Animal. Alex Singleton, got cut so many times, went to Canada, was back-to-back fucking defensive player of the year, got a $20 million contract with the Broncos. Sideline to sideline guys. So this is a grunt game where you can really earn it, but the fans need to understand that the ability to identify talent, whether they're in Canada, whether they're in Antarctica, whether they're fucking playing in the UFL, the USFL, the XFL, the fucking CFL, the European League, the goddamn, if they're playing at the teacher school for the deaf, dumb, and blind, or if they're playing at fucking Harvard, you got to be able to like really identify talent. And yes, it comes on film, and yes, it comes on the gridiron when it comes to testing and things of that nature. But man, when you get guys into camp and you eye test this as a coach, and he's whipping everyone's ass, I don't really give a shit where he's from, what round he went in none of that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. As long as he can ball and I'm watching it, well, that kid is better than the other kid. That's the beauty of football is. So I don't know, man. I think the draft is so fucking overhyped, that it puts undue pressure on a lot of these cats. And bro, there's so many dudes that are overdrafted, and then they're not really first or second or third round picks, and they get overdrafted and they just can't live up to that billing. And then there's a lot of cats that are underdrafted, and you're like, holy shit, where did Tank go? Tank went in the 5th round, right? Something like that, right?
Not sure. I think maybe
He went late. Well, I know he went late. I know that. So like Antonio Brown's crazy ass went in the 5th round.
the 2nd round.
Oh, 2nd round. Okay, well, fuck me. Never mind. All right, but Antonio Brown was a 5th rounder. Like Tom Brady, the best quarterback ever, went 199. Mr. Irrelevant starting in the Super Bowl.
Come on now.
Well, I mean, bro.
The NFL will find you, man. It's like
if you can play
the players. We were in a hot streak. Eric Williams, D2. Larry Allen, D2. These are guys that were just
Larry Allen, dog.
Yeah, like this is like they'll find you if there are.